The stars looked different from the command center of Earth's Space Defense Station. James Miller stood there, his hands pressed against the cold glass of the observation window. He had watched these same stars for 20 years, but today they seemed colder, more distant. The deep space sensors had picked up something unusual near Proxima Centauri, where humanity's first colony lived and thrived. The colony was his pride and joy. 10,000 people, including his wife Anna and daughter Emma, called it home. They were pioneers, the first humans to live permanently on another world. Miller had helped design the colony's defense systems himself, but nothing had prepared them for what was coming. The first sign of trouble came when the colony's regular communication suddenly stopped. Miller ordered an immediate scan of the sector. The results made his blood run cold. 5 massive ships, each larger than anything humanity had ever built, had appeared near the colony. "Sir, they're not responding to any of our signals," reported Tom, the young communication officer. His voice shook slightly as he spoke. The colony's distress beacon just activated. Miller's fingers dug into the metal rail before him. The defensive platforms around the colony, designed to stop asteroids and small vessels, looked like toys compared to the alien ships. The nearest Earth vessel was 3 months away at best speed. The main screen flickered to life. The alien ships were broadcasting a message. It was in perfect English, which somehow made it worse. To the species of Sol 3, a calm voice announced, "Your expansion ends here. We have observed your kind for centuries. Your potential for violence, your adaptability, and your emotional instability make you a future threat to galactic peace. This colony represents an unacceptable risk. Consider this a merciful intervention." Miller's heart stopped as the alien ships opened fire. The colony's shields, humanity's best technology, lasted exactly 6 seconds. He watched helplessly as the massive energy beams tore through the colony's main dome. Emergency pods launched from the surface, carrying desperate survivors. The alien ships targeted them with clinical precision. None escaped. In those moments, Miller felt something change inside him. The crushing pain in his chest turned into something else, something cold and focused. He noticed everything with crystal clarity. The slight tremor in the station's deck plates, the sharp intake of breath from his crew, the faint reflection of emergency lights in the window. "Sir," Tom's voice cracked. "They're sending another message." The same calm voice filled the command center. "This action, while regrettable, was necessary. We are the Galactic Federation, guardians of peace. Return to your world. Focus on internal development. In time, you may prove worthy of controlled interaction with other species." The alien ships vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving behind the ruins of humanity's greatest achievement. Where 10,000 people had lived moments before, only debris remained, tumbling silently in the light of Proxima Centauri. Miller stood perfectly still, his face expressionless. Around him, some crew members wept openly. Others stared in shock at their screens. But Miller felt a strange sense of clarity. He thought about Anna's last message, sent just yesterday, talking about Emma's excitement over the colony's first harvest festival. Now they were gone, along with thousands of others, killed by beings who viewed them as nothing more than a potential problem to solve. "Record everything," he ordered, his voice steady. "Every second of sensor data, every word they said, everything." "What?" Tom hesitated. "What do we do now, sir?" Miller finally turned from the window. His eyes had changed, carrying a cold light that made his subordinates step back instinctively. Now we show them their mistake. They think they know humanity's potential for violence. They don't have the slightest idea, but they will learn." He looked back at the stars, his voice dropping to barely a whisper. "They killed my family. They killed our people. And they did it because they're afraid of what we might become. So let's show them exactly what happens when humans have nothing left to lose." The crew straightened at their stations. In that moment, they understood. This wasn't just an attack. This wasn't just a tragedy. This was the moment humanity learned it wasn't alone in the universe. And it was the moment the universe would learn why ancient species warned about making humans angry. For 5 years after the Proxima massacre, Earth went quiet. The alien observers watching from the edge of the solar system reported nothing unusual. They saw the same routine activities: satellite launches, space station repairs, and small cargo ships moving between Earth and its lunar base. The Federation congratulated itself on successfully containing the human threat. They were wrong. Deep within the asteroid belt, hidden in the hollowed-out core of a nameless rock, Miller stood in front of a massive window. But unlike that terrible day 5 years ago, he wasn't watching helplessly. He was waiting. "Status report," he said quietly. His voice had changed over the years, becoming harder, like steel worn smooth by time. "All ships report ready," answered Robert, his new second-in-command. "The cloak is holding. Federation sensors still show nothing but mining operations." Miller nodded. Around him, the secret command center hummed with activity. Hundreds of screens showed different parts of their plan in motion. 5 years of preparation, hidden beneath a cover of apparent submission and defeat. The Federation hadn't bothered to hide their surveillance ships. Why should they? They thought they were watching a broken species trying to rebuild. Instead, they were giving humans perfect targets to study. Every scan they sent taught Earth's scientists more about their technology. Every communication they broadcast helped crack their encryption. "Launch status?" Miller asked, his eyes fixed on a particular screen showing a massive hangar. "The Vengeance is fueled and ready," Robert replied. "All systems check out. The new drives work exactly as designed. They'll never see us coming." The Vengeance was humanity's answer to the Federation's superiority. It looked nothing like traditional human ships. Its hull was black, absorbing all light. Its shape strange and unsettling. It incorporated everything they'd learned from studying the debris at Proxima, combined with human ingenuity born from rage and determination. "Any word from our friends?" Miller asked. Robert smiled slightly. 3 more Federation ships arrived to observe us last week. They're maintaining standard patrol patterns. Still no sign they've detected any of our activities. That had been the hardest part, maintaining the deception. Every person on Earth knew about the plan, but they kept going about their lives as if nothing had changed. They built regular ships, launched normal satellites, and acted exactly like a species trying to recover from a devastating setback. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid belt and beneath the surface of Mars, humanity prepared for war. They had taken the Federation's greatest advantage, their arrogance, and turned it against them. "Sir," a young technician called out, "the last mining ship just cleared the area. We have our window." Miller straightened his uniform, black, like the ship he would command. "Send the signal. It's time." Throughout the asteroid belt, massive doors hidden in ordinary-looking rocks began to open. Ships emerged, their hulls drinking in light rather than reflecting it. 5 years of secret construction, of midnight launches and hidden facilities, had produced a fleet unlike anything the Federation could imagine. "Message from Earth Command," Robert announced. "They say, remember Proxima." Miller's face hardened, as if he could forget. He saw it every night in his dreams, the colony breaking apart, the escape pods being destroyed, his family's last moments. But now, that pain had purpose. "Signal the fleet," he ordered. "Begin Operation Silent Reply." The ships moved into formation, their new engines leaving no trace in normal space. The Federation's observers, watching their sensors for any sign of human activity, saw nothing unusual, just another quiet day in a defeated system. Miller took his place on the Vengeance's bridge. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. They were all survivors or had lost family at Proxima. They had waited 5 years for this moment. "Plot course for the Federation's primary shipyard," Miller commanded. "Let's show them what humanity does with 5 years of focused rage." The fleet disappeared into the darkness between the stars. The Federation had taught humanity a lesson at Proxima. Now it was time for humanity to teach one in return. They would learn that giving humans time to plan was even more dangerous than making them angry. And this was just the beginning. The Federation's chief scientist, Dr. Val, stared at the data readings with growing concern. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he reviewed the combat footage again. Something about these humans didn't make sense, and that worried him more than their new ships or weapons. The attack on the Federation's largest shipyard had been devastating. A single human vessel, darker than the space around it, had appeared without warning. The shipyard's defenses, designed to stop entire fleets, had proven useless. But it wasn't the advanced technology that troubled Dr. Val. It was what the medical scanners had revealed about the human crew. "Play it again," he ordered his assistant. "Focus on their biological readings during the attack." The holographic display showed the interior of the human ship. Their scanners had managed to penetrate its hull for just a few moments before the shipyard's destruction. What they saw defied everything the Federation knew about organic beings. The humans' bodies were producing impossible amounts of combat hormones. Their adrenal glands worked at levels that should have driven them insane. Their hearts pumped so hard they should have burst. Their muscles were receiving enough oxygen to tear themselves apart. But instead of breaking down, the humans were becoming more efficient. "Look at their brainwave patterns." Dr. Val pointed at another screen. During peak stress, most species lose higher cognitive functions. Their minds become primitive, focused only on survival. But these humans, the neural activity displays told a different story. Under extreme stress, the human brain showed increased activity in areas responsible for strategic thinking and complex problem solving. They weren't just surviving the tremendous physiological changes, they were using them. "Sir," his assistant spoke quietly, "the historical research team just sent their preliminary findings. You need to see this." The new data made Dr. Val sink into his chair. Archaeological studies from across the galaxy showed the same pattern. Ancient spacefaring civilizations, long vanished, had left behind warnings. Cave paintings, digital archives, even genetic memories preserved in successor species, all spoke of the angry ones from a yellow star system. "They're not just another violent species," Dr. Val muttered, reading the translations. "There's something else entirely." The old ones didn't fear their weapons or their technology. They feared their potential. More combat footage played on the screens around him. The human ship's captain, identified as Miller, had transmitted a message just before attacking. The Federation's linguists were still analyzing it, trying to understand why such a simple phrase carried so much weight. "Remember Proxima." A new alert flashed on Dr. Val's screen. The latest neural scans have found something even more disturbing. The humans' enhanced state wasn't temporary. Their bodies were adapting, learning to maintain this heightened condition for longer periods. Evolution itself was responding to their need for revenge. "We may have made a terrible mistake," Dr. Val said to his assistant. "The attack on their colony, we didn't prevent a threat. We created one." He pulled up the original assessment that had led to the Proxima attack. The Federation had judged humans dangerous because of their potential for violence, their adaptability, and their emotional instability. Now Dr. Val understood. Those weren't weaknesses. They were weapons waiting to be sharpened. The humans had taken their grief and rage and turned them into focus. They had transformed their pain into purpose. Their adaptability meant every challenge made them stronger. Their emotional capacity gave them strength beyond physical limits, and their potential for violence was tempered by something the Federation hadn't counted on: patience. "Send this to the High Council immediately," Dr. Val ordered, compiling his findings. "The humans aren't just fighting us. They're evolving specifically to defeat us, and if these readings are correct, this is just the beginning of their adaptation." As if to emphasize his point, another alert sounded. 3 more Federation outposts had gone dark, their last transmissions all reporting the same thing: ships that swallowed light, crews that defied biological limits, and a message that seemed to echo through space itself. Remember Proxima. Dr. Val looked at the star charts, at the expanding network of silent outposts. The humans weren't just seeking revenge. They were methodically demonstrating why they should have been feared in the first place, and the Federation had given them every reason to show their full potential. The Vengeance moved silently through space, its black hull absorbing any light that touched it. On the bridge, Miller watched the Federation's largest military shipyard grow larger on the main screen. 5 years of planning had led to this moment. His ship carried humanity's message, written in new technologies and burning determination. Status of their defense grid? Miller asked, his voice steady. They've doubled their patrol ships since our last attack, Robert reported from his station. New energy barriers are in place. They've even installed gravity wells to prevent ships from jumping in close. He paused, then smiled slightly. They still can't detect us. That was humanity's first major breakthrough. Studying the debris from Proxima had shown them how Federation sensors worked. Instead of trying to block them, human scientists had found a way to slit between their scanning frequencies. The Vengeance didn't need to be invisible. It just had to exist in the spaces the Federation didn't think to look. Launch the probes, Miller ordered. Dozens of small dark objects separated from the Vengeance, spreading out around the shipyard. Each contained a piece of human ingenuity, born from years of focused rage and careful study. The Federation's shipyard was massive, a sprawling complex of docks and construction bays that could build vessels larger than Earth's cities. Hundreds of ships were under construction, each designed to maintain the Federation's power over lesser species. It was the perfect target for humanity's first real strike. Sir, Robert's voice was tense with anticipation. All probes are in position. Ready on your order. Miller thought of his wife Anna, who had loved building things. She would have been amazed by this shipyard if they had come in peace. He thought of his daughter Emma, who had wanted to design ships of her own someday. The Federation had taken those dreams away, believing they were preventing a future threat. Begin the attack, Miller commanded. Show them what humanity can really do. The probes activated simultaneously. Each one generated a field that the Federation had never encountered before. A bubble of altered space where their laws of physics didn't quite work the same way. Human scientists, driven by the need for revenge, had discovered that reality itself could be modified with the right application of energy and mathematics. Alarms blared throughout the shipyard as its defenders realized something was wrong. Their energy barriers flickered and failed as the laws they relied on changed. Their weapons fired but found their beams bent away from the Vengeance by space that no longer behaved properly. Gravity wells designed to trap ships instead created corridors of twisted physics the human vessels could navigate freely. Their command center is trying to coordinate a response, Robert reported, but each section of the shipyard is now operating under different physical constants. They can't effectively communicate or organize. Miller nodded. This was humanity's answer to the Federation's technological superiority. Instead of trying to beat their advanced technology, humans had found a way to change the rules that technology relied on. The Federation had called humans primitive. Now they would learn that understanding basic principles allowed you to break them in fascinating ways. Bring us in closer, Miller ordered. Let them see us clearly. Let them remember this. The Vengeance moved through the chaos like a shark through broken waters. Federation ships tried to respond, but found themselves fighting both an enemy they couldn't properly detect and physics they no longer understood. Some of their own weapons backfired, their energy turning inward as space itself betrayed them. Message from their command center, Robert announced. They're offering immediate surrender. No, Miller replied quietly. They didn't offer our people at Proxima that chance. Send our response. The words that filled the Federation's communications were few, but carried the weight of 5 years of human preparation. Remember Proxima. This is only the beginning. The Vengeance opened fire. Its weapons weren't just advanced technology. They were humanity's understanding of how to break reality itself. The shipyard didn't just explode. Parts of it ceased to exist as space folded in ways it shouldn't. Other sections aged 10,000 years in seconds. Some areas simply stopped following the laws of physics entirely. When it was over, the Federation's greatest shipyard was more than destroyed. It was a lesson written in twisted metal and broken physics. Humanity had learned not just to fight, but to change the very rules of war. The Federation had feared what humans might become. Now they would see exactly what that meant. The Federation Council chamber had never been so quiet. Representatives from 50 species sat in stunned silence as they watched the footage from the destroyed shipyard. The room's elegant architecture, designed to showcase the Federation's power and unity, now felt like a tomb. "Play it again," ordered High Counselor Rix, his scaled hands gripping the edges of his seat. "Show us the moment their ship appeared." The holographic display lit up once more. They all watched as the human vessel, the one they now knew was called Vengeance, emerged from seemingly empty space. Its black hull seemed to drink in light itself. But it wasn't the ship's appearance that made several council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. It was what happened next. "Impossible," muttered one of the council members, their feathered crest rising in agitation. "They didn't just destroy the shipyard. They rewrote the laws of physics in that sector. None of our ships can even enter the area now. Space itself has become wrong." The Trade Minister, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline form, pulsed with anxiety. "3 of our major trade routes are now unusable. The human attacks have created zones where normal space travel is impossible. They're not just destroying our military targets, they're reshaping the very fabric of our civilization." More images filled the chamber. The humans had been busy. Every attack followed the same pattern. A black ship would appear, reality would stop working properly, and another piece of the Federation would cease to exist as they understood it. The humans weren't just fighting a war. They were changing the rules of existence itself. "We have reports from the outer colonies," a junior member spoke up. Their voice trembled slightly. "They found more warnings. Ancient ones. Every advanced civilization we've studied. They all left messages about humans, about why they should be feared." The chamber's screens filled with translations from a dozen dead languages. Cave paintings showed figures that brought chaos to the stars. Digital archives spoke of beings who could reshape reality when angered. Genetic memories preserved in the building blocks of life itself carried warnings about the angry ones who could break the universe's laws. "We didn't listen," Rix said quietly. "We thought we were preventing a threat. Instead, we gave them a reason to become one." A new alert flashed across the chamber's displays. Another Federation outpost had gone dark. But this time, something was different. The humans had left survivors, and they had given them a message to deliver. "Play the survivors' testimony," Rix ordered. The face that appeared was one of their own scientists, his scales pale with fear. The human captain, Miller. He wanted us to understand. He showed us what they found in the ruins of their colony, the bodies of their children, the destroyed hopes of their people. Then he showed us what they learned from studying our weapons, our ships. But they didn't just copy our technology. They found its foundations and learned to break them. The scientist's voice cracked. He said we taught them the most valuable lesson of all, that the universe's laws are not as fixed as we thought. And that pain, properly focused, can change reality itself. The Trade Minister's crystalline form flickered with distress. The humans are not seeking mere vengeance. They're not trying to defeat us. They're reshaping the galaxy to ensure nothing like Proxima ever happens again. More reports flooded in. The humans had begun sharing their discoveries with other species the Federation had suppressed. Knowledge of how to bend space, how to step between moments of time, how to make reality itself mutable, all given freely to those who had suffered under Federation rule. "We must sue for peace," someone suggested desperately. "Peace." Rix laughed bitterly. "We killed their children. We destroyed their dreams of peaceful expansion among the stars. Now they're showing us why every ancient species warned about making humans truly angry. He stood, his scales reflecting the light of dozens of emergency alerts. We didn't create an enemy. We created something far worse. Humans with a purpose, humans with focus, humans who have learned to break the universe itself. The chamber fell silent again as another section of Federation space went dark. The humans weren't just winning their war. They were rewriting the laws of existence to ensure they could never lose it. And somewhere out there, a black ship named Vengeance continued its work, leaving behind a galaxy where the very fabric of space remembered why humans should never be given a reason for revenge. Dr. Val stood before the Federation's Emergency Council, his 4 eyes blinking nervously as he presented his final report. Behind him, screens showed real-time images of the changed regions of space where human ships had struck. Dark patches in the galaxy where the normal laws of physics no longer applied. "We finally understand," he began, his voice echoing in the silent chamber. "The humans aren't just using advanced technology. They're using something we never considered. Their emotions themselves are a weapon." He brought up new data streams, showing scans of human brain patterns during their attacks. The council members leaned forward, their various forms tense with attention. Other species lose control under extreme stress or emotional distress. Their minds become chaotic, primitive, but humans. He highlighted a particular scan. Humans become more focused. Their anger doesn't cloud their judgment, it sharpens it. Their grief doesn't break them, it drives them to achieve the impossible. The main screen showed the Vengeance's latest attack. The black ship slipped between moments of time, its weapons literally rewriting the structure of space itself. Federation defenses, designed to stop physical attacks, were useless against weapons that changed how reality worked. Their Captain Miller, Dr. Val continued, is not just seeking revenge. He's become something our sciences said was impossible, a being whose emotional state can directly influence the fundamental laws of the universe. A council member interrupted, their crystalline form pulsing with anxiety. "How is this possible? No species should be able to affect reality itself through mere emotion." Dr. Val brought up ancient star charts. "We found the answer in the oldest records. The first species to achieve spaceflight, the ones we thought were merely legends, they left warnings. They discovered something about the universe that we have forgotten." He paused, making sure every council member was paying attention. "The universe itself is conscious, not in a way we can understand, but it responds to certain types of focused consciousness. The ancient ones discovered this by accident, but they feared to use this knowledge. They saw it as too dangerous, too unpredictable." New images appeared, cave paintings from 100 worlds, all showing the same warning symbols around figures that could only be human. "But humans," Dr. Val said quietly, "humans are different. When they focus their emotions, particularly their anger or grief, they can unconsciously connect with this universal consciousness. They don't just break the laws of physics, they convince the universe itself to change its rules." The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. The idea that the universe itself could be influenced by mere emotions seemed impossible. But the evidence was there, in the growing patches of changed space spreading across their territory. The attack on Proximo wasn't just a tactical mistake, Dr. Val concluded. "We didn't just give humans a reason for revenge. We gave them such intense emotional focus that they discovered their ability to communicate with the fabric of reality itself." He showed them Miller's brain scans again. "Look at the patterns. When he remembers his lost family, when he focuses on what we did to his people, his mind creates patterns that echo the very structure of space-time. He's not commanding their new technology. He's asking the universe itself to change, and it's listening." The council watched in silence as another report came in. 3 more Federation worlds had surrendered, not to human attacks, but to the knowledge humans had shared with their populations. The ability to reshape reality wasn't being kept as a weapon, it was being taught as a tool. We thought we were protecting the galaxy from a primitive, emotionally unstable species, Dr. Val said. Instead, we showed them their true power. Every human who lost someone at Proxima, everyone who felt that grief and rage. They've all become capable of this connection. And they're teaching others. A final image appeared, the Vengeance, photographed through a temporal distortion. Around its black hull, reality itself seemed to bend, as if the universe was choosing to reshape itself rather than stand against human determination. The Ancient Ones weren't warning us about human violence, Dr. Val finished quietly. They were warning us about this. Never give humans a reason to discover their true connection to the fundamental nature of reality. Because once they understand it, the universe itself will choose to change rather than deny their focused will. The council sat in stunned silence as they finally understood. They hadn't just made an enemy of humanity. They had given humans a reason to unlock their species' true potential. And the universe itself was taking their side. The Vengeance hung in space before the Federation's capital world, its black hull absorbing the light of 3 suns. Miller stood on the bridge, looking at the massive city ships that made up the Federation's seat of power. 5 years of war had changed him. His hair had gone completely gray, but his eyes held something more than just anger now. They held understanding. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, Robert reported from his station. The Federation Council requests your presence, not as a combatant, but as humanity's ambassador. Miller nodded slowly. The war had changed more than just him. The Federation's mighty empire had crumbled not through destruction, but through revelation. Humanity hadn't just fought back. They had shared their discovery with every species the Federation had oppressed. The knowledge of how to speak to the universe itself had spread like wildfire among the stars. Prepare the shuttle, Miller ordered. It's time to end this. The shuttle that carried him to the Federation Council chamber was small and black, like a piece of night moving through space. As it approached, the Federation's defenses parted. Not out of fear, but out of respect for what humanity had taught them. The council chamber was different now. Where once 50 species sat in ranked hierarchies, now hundreds of representatives gathered as equals. Miller walked to the center of the chamber, his footsteps echoing in the perfect silence. He looked up at the gathered beings, crystalline forms, energy constructs, biological entities of all shapes and sizes. 5 years ago, Miller began, his voice carrying easily through the vast space. You destroyed our colony at Proxima. You killed our people because you feared what we might become. He paused, looking at each section of the chamber. You were right to fear us, but not for the reasons you thought. He gestured, and the space around him shifted. Reality rippled like water, responding to his focused will. The chamber gasped collectively as they witnessed again what humans had discovered. We found something in our grief and rage, Miller continued. Something the Ancient Ones knew but were afraid to use. The universe itself is alive in ways we're only beginning to understand, and it responds to those who have learned to speak with it through focused emotion. Images appeared around him, the rebuilt Proxima colony, but different now. The structures there didn't just house humans, but included spaces for dozens of species. The technology they used didn't fight against the universe's laws, but worked in harmony with them. We could have used this knowledge to destroy you completely, Miller said quietly. But that would have betrayed everything we've learned. The universe doesn't want destruction. It wants growth, understanding, connection. Our anger showed us the door, but what we found behind it was something far greater than revenge. He looked up at Dr. Val, who now sat among the council leaders. The scientist's 4 eyes were wide with understanding. Humanity comes before you not as conquerors, but as teachers. We've shown other species how to find their own connection to the universe. Each does it differently, through art, through science, through emotion or logic or faith. But the connection is there for all who learn to look for it. The chamber was absolutely silent. Miller took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. The Federation, as it was, must end. But something new can take its place. a true union of species, each contributing their unique way of understanding and communicating with the reality we share. This is humanity's real gift to the galaxy, not the power to break the universe's laws, but the knowledge that we can all learn to speak with the universe itself. He felt it then, not just his own connection to the fabric of reality, but hundreds of others in the chamber. Each species had found their own way to touch that vast consciousness that underlaid all of existence. The universe itself seemed to hum with possibility. My wife, Anna, always said that understanding grows from loss. Miller finished softly. My daughter Emma believed that everyone had something to teach. They died at Proxima, but their wisdom lives on in what we've discovered. The universe doesn't fear angry humans. It responds to us because in our deepest grief, in our most focused rage, we never stop trying to understand. And now we offer that understanding to all. As he finished speaking, the chamber erupted in a symphony of voices, lights, and energy patterns. The sound of hundreds of species expressing agreement in their own ways. The war was over. The real work, the work of teaching and learning and growing together, was just beginning. The universe itself seemed to shimmer with approval. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not as conquerors or victims, but as teachers. And the lesson they taught was greater than revenge. It was the truth that understanding, even born from pain, could change reality itself.